on Initiative Africa. My name is Asha. Welcome to this new edition of your weekly magazine featuring Africa on the move through smart innovations and initiatives that work. Let's get on with the show with our top stories today. We meet Safietou Gueye, a Franco-Senegalese determined to preserve the beautiful tradition of Wolof nursery rhymes and use it to transmit the West African culture to the diaspora in Europe. She created Atama, her own YouTube channel of nursery rhymes, by using cartoons as illustrations. She's our guest today.
Atama is a project that I have been developing since the birth of my first child. It was a thought that came to me at that time, and I was able to make it happen only recently during the lockdown.
In Mali, young people are opening up to culture and the discovery of skill sets with the Oxyjeunes initiative.
This project not only promotes and upholds children's rights, it also provides them with a tribune and a framework to express themselves freely.
Spotlight on creativity for young dancers who combine tradition and contemporary dance in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital.
As it's very well known, Hahu dance groups blends cultural dance with contemporary, and their way of expression is very beautiful.
Let's now head for Mali for this first report. As you know, this country is currently going through a multidimensional crisis. However, the UNICEF has been organizing an annual meeting there for young people. Oxygen is both a place for discipline and cultural mix. It also allows to train in singing, dancing or painting. 5 days of activities which bring together about 50 Malian children from different localities. Our journalist attended a rural radio workshop there. Take a look.
Sévaré is the gateway to the Mopti region in northern Mali. These children are not in their school grounds. They have come from the capital, Bamako, 600 kilometers away. Under the supervision of members of the United Nations Children's Fund, they are taking part in training and presentation exercises organized each year by UNICEF. 50 children aged 9 to 16 have come from regions across Mali to attend the course. For 1 week, under the watchful eye of the Minister for the Promotion of Women, Children and the Family, they will live and study in this hotel.
This project not only promotes and upholds children's rights, it also provides them with a tribune and a framework to express themselves freely.
In a country where the vast majority face the ordeal of female circumcision, often at birth, particular attention is paid to the question of young girls' rights. But the real innovation is the multimedia project to train children so that they can, in turn, communicate what they have learnt to other children. The trainee journalists are divided into teams depending on the various media used. These include written press, radio and video. There is even a theatre group.
This is my third Oxygen. I've gained a lot of experience, and it has given me greater freedom to be myself, to be more self-confident, and stand up for the ideas that I have always wanted to defend. I mean, protecting children and young people and their rights, especially their representation in the media.
But above all, Oxygen is about concrete results in the journalistic field.
Hello, my name is Dem Sukaina. I am 9 years old and I go to school at Kalanso. Today, we will be showing you a report we have made. We are here in the village of Sinkarma. I hope you enjoy it.
In Sinkarma, 90% of the inhabitants still practice female circumcision. The apprentice journalists are here to document the various opinions on the subject and also to perform a more daunting task. They must explain the dangers involved and the consequences for the health of young girls and their lives in the future as mothers.
I am in the radio group. Our brief is to understand why villagers use female circumcision and to find out if it is less common nowadays.
UNICEF supports the government's efforts to provide greater protection with children helping children. The Oxyjeunes project teaches children how to take the step from childhood to adulthood. Better still, they learn to use their expertise and modern communication tools to preach the gospel of progress.
La discrimination. C'est la fête de qui? C'est la fête de qui? Oui à l'éducation. Non à l'excision.
Our guest this week took over the mission of transmitting Wolof nursery rhymes, a vocation that came to her after the birth of her children in France. She discovered that sharing precious childhood memories and teaching younger generations the language of their parents and grandparents is actually a strong desire of the African diaspora, but not necessarily easy to achieve. However, she managed to bring them to life through animated cartoons. Our reporter Laurence Stras met her in the Paris region.
Hello, Safietou Gueye. Tell us, how did you get the idea for Atama, your YouTube channel of children's songs in Wolof?
Atama is a project that I have been developing since the birth of my first child. It was a thought that came to me at that time, and I was able to make it happen only recently during the lockdown.
So where exactly did it come from?
It came from a simple observation, which is that on YouTube we did not have, in any case I did not find, animated content for children in Wolof. So I said to myself that I absolutely had to do something to offer our children content in Wolof.
What was the most difficult part in creating Atama? Was it finding the right people to support you?
Well, at the beginning it was not easy to find people because we had to do our research and to know which direction to take. So it was a little bit complicated. But I eventually found the right people, whether it was for the animation, editing or singing.
How did you find them?
On the internet, for example, for the singer Omar, I had contacted him on Facebook.
C'est sur Facebook que je l'ai contacté. Pour ce qui est de Manon,
and as for Manon, the animator, I got to know her via Clément, who does the editing, and I found him on the internet as well.
Je l'ai trouvé sur internet également.
How did you get them to join your project?
Tout simplement. Alors pour Omar,
quite simply, so for Omar it was pretty easy, I would say, because he truly understood my desire to want to do something for children.
De faire quelque chose pour les enfants.
And the same also for Manon and Clément. I simply explained to them that I had a project and that I had been working on for a while, and that it seemed important to me to find true professionals who could produce it properly, let's say. Because I had originally tried to do it on my own, but it was a disaster, if I can allow myself to say that. So there you go, I got them to join the cause quite easily, and they helped me very much.
Why was it a catastrophe? What was so difficult?
Alors, c'était une catastrophe parce que tout
Well, it was a catastrophe because, quite simply, it is not my profession to animate, to sing, and so I just limit myself to the text part, which is my responsibility.
Donc, c'est de mon ressort.
And for the singing, you have to really master singing. I really needed to find someone with experience in this area. And it was the same for the animations. So you learn, it doesn't come easily. Therefore, if you want a truly well-designed product that appeals to children and that is flawless, you really need to find professionals.
Qui soit impeccable, faut vraiment trouver des professionnels.
Why did you choose children's songs? Was singing the driving force of your project?
Oui, le chant était important parce que...
Yes, singing was important because, in fact, what I had noticed was that this was missing on YouTube, actually. We found children's song in several languages, but not in Wolof. Maybe there was content, but it was not yet animated. And so for me, what I had noticed is that children are really quite attracted to this format. The singing format, with moving characters, a little bit colorful. And so that's why I said to myself, this will be the right channel for communicating to children their first words in Wolof.
Les premiers mots en Wolof, voilà, aux enfants.
Have you tested it on your own children?
Et là, je suis fière de dire que, par exemple,
yes, and I'm proud to say that, for example, my little girl knows perfectly well how to count to 10 in French and English, and now in Wolof, all three.
Elle maîtrise parfaitement.
How have internet users reacted to your channel so far?
Alors, les internautes ont vraiment réagi.
Internet users have reacted really positively, and that really shows me that I made the right decision in doing this.
Et que voilà, c'était vraiment une nécessité, on va dire, un besoin.
And that it was truly necessary or a need, let's say. I really feel that people want the content that I propose, and the proof is that currently on YouTube we have more than 6,000 subscribers, and I see the reactions in the comments on Instagram, for example, which encourage me to keep going.
Qui me pousse à aller de l'avant.
What sort of comments have you had exactly?
Dans les commentaires, c'est déjà...
Some of the comments are finally, for example, finally a children's song in Wolof. That comes up often. There are comments like, now I know how to say colors in Wolof, for example. Green, we use to just say vert, the word for green in French, and vert exists in Wolof. But by doing research, I learned myself that there are other colors that existed in Wolof because we tended to always say it in French. And so it's not just the young ones who learn, but the adults too, the parents.
Les adultes aussi, les parents.
Are your choices made easier by knowing that there are both adults and children watching the programs? Does it help you to choose which themes to approach and how?
Atama est destiné aux enfants en premier.
Atama is intended first and foremost for children, but there are also the parents who watch with them. And in general, the themes that we choose are basic themes that I would say numbers, colors, days of the week. Some adults watch it, others do not.
Après, certains adultes découvrent, d'autres pas.
For example, there's a song that talks about family, and I just lay the foundations. After that, it's up to the parents to carry on. For instance, we teach the child how to say little brother.
On apprend à l'enfant comment on dit petit frère. Mais je vais pas jusqu'à faire la distinction.
But I don't go so far as to distinguish between little brother and little sister. I don't make the distinction, and so it remains an opportunity for the parents to have a discussion with the child, to tell the child, for example, that little brother is called Rak Bugur and little sister is Rak Bujigin, etc.
Rak Bugur et petite sœur Rak Bujigin, etc.
Welcome back to the second part of our show. Dancing is a tradition in Africa, but that does not prevent contemporary dance from struggling to gain acceptance across the continent. In Addis Ababa, it was even difficult for the new groups of dancers to find a favorable audience. However, some dancers have found the solution. They combine traditional Ethiopian heritage with contemporary dance, and with great success. Michael Asbeha Elias Gebreselassie met these new artists. Take a look.
While for a long time Ethiopia sheltered itself from the outside world, a new crop of local dancers are mixing the local dance styles with modern ones. The Hahu dance group is one of the most active and thriving dance groups you would find in Addis Ababa. The group came up with the name Hahu, taking the first two letters from the Ethiopian unique alphabet, Ha and Hu.
Hahu ማለት
When we were talking about branding our dance group, one of my friends who understood what we are trying to do suggested this name. He knew we were contemporary dancers that seek to reflect on Ethiopia's culture while educating. We agreed to name it Hahu because you can feel it has that distinct Ethiopian element to it.
After almost a decade of experimenting, they managed to blend the predominantly shoulder-oriented movement of Ethiopian cultural dance with that of the modern freeform style. Featuring principal dance expressions from both genres, they engendered something new. As the public, especially the young urbanite, is better aware of the style, Hahu Dance Group is getting more fame than ever before.
As it's very well known, Hahu dance groups blends cultural dance with contemporary, and their way of expression is very beautiful. Especially their performance against bribery and corruption in the National Theatre, it was very good. In general, their movement sends a message and is impressively meaningful.
Isaias, who is now in his early 20s, grew in a typical poor Ethiopian family fighting to make ends meet. From his young age, he was shouldering extra burden of supporting his family financially. Back in the days, he once worked as a shoeshine, but now he owns a small music shop that his older sister runs. The shop rents local and foreign music and film CDs where it makes enough to support his family. He also coaches aspiring young dancers for free so that they will not face the difficult time he had to endure when he was very young. His work ethic and talent earned him respect from the amateur dancers who seek to make a difference.
The saddest time in my life was when I lost my father. He always dreamed of my success. Even though he was happy by my dancing career, we always fought because there was no money. I didn't bring any home. And now that I am helping my family, I wish he were here to see that. Now that he is gone, I regret the fact that he is not able to see what the benefit of dance is.
With 83 ethnic groups documented in more than 70 languages and dialects, Ethiopia possesses enormous creative potential in music and dance. Over the past 20 years, Ethiopia's art scenery, and especially of its capital Addis Ababa, has been witnessing a subtle increase in the number of contemporary dance groups. One would think that this particular field of artistry is already mature and exploited to its limit. That, according to Hawaria Tasafa, a dance instructor and one of the most active contemporary dancers in Addis Ababa, is in fact far from the reality. Running cultural performance nightclubs is a prosperous business in Ethiopia. Add a buffet of elegantly presented traditional cuisine to that, and you will have a tourist destination. And businessmen capitalized on that with a lone goal of making money. For many cultural dance club owners in Addis Ababa, pure cultural and traditional performance is what draws local and international audiences.
Our cultural performance has grown, and there are a lot of cultural places for that. And we need to do the same for the modern dance too. When efforts are made to develop modern dance, and eventually society will start to accept it. They will be eager to see more contemporary dance performances. But cultural dance club owners say the introduction of contemporary dance groups along with cultural performances will slow their business.
For Isaias, the role of contemporary dance is greatly misunderstood by few influencers, from veteran cultural dancers to dance club owners and music producers, that its premature success could be short-lived. From his experience of performing in private parties, school programs, shows, and the music industry, adopting the art of contemporary dance should not be equated as destroying or altering traditions and styles. It is but merely coping with the differing ways of expression.
Our beginning itself was envisioned so that we can promote Ethiopia's identity, Ethiopia's culture, movements and music. And we have a never-ending selection of culture to focus our performances on. Even if we pick a different culture for every performance, we can go on for a lifetime. We won't be limited. And we have been working hard, and still are, in creating performances through merging, mixing and fusing cultural with modern dance styles.
This group of dancers recognizes the challenges that rest ahead of them, but they are optimistic. They see the small light at the far end of the dark tunnel getting vivid by the day. They see Africa rising. And the good news is, Africa's dance scene by and large is gaining momentum and influence around the world. Today, we are witnessing numerous dance and choreography scores inspired by African dance and rhythm. It is a matter of time before a brand new contemporary dance influenced by African movement spreads like wildfire. And if Hahu Dance Group holds its ground firm, its style could become the next big trend.
Well, let's get back to Safietou Gueye for the second part of our interview this week. She tells us about her projects, in particular the translation of her cartoons for children of the Fulani ethnic group. Let's listen to her.
Safietou Gueye, you were born in Senegal and then came to live in France. What memories do you have of Wolof songs and games you played at school or in the playground?
Alors, les cantines remontent vraiment de longtemps.
Well, the songs go way back to primary school where we used to play during recess.
De jouer, voilà, il y avait pas mal de jeux. Ça, c'était
there were a lot of games like jump rope, Or Allah and Duty, for example, the song that I used to teach the colours to children, and it was such a nice, fun game, simply thinking about it again.
Un jeu vraiment, voilà, très amusant, très plaisant.
I find myself transported back to wonderful childhood memories.
Merveilleux, tout simplement.
Did your mother play an important role as you were learning songs?
Alors, ma maman, les tantes aussi. Les tantes,
well, my mom,
les tantes
my
côté,
paternal aunts too. I have a paternal aunt who really made an impression on me, although it was not necessarily in relation to children's song, but in relation to telling tales, the tales that we call lib back home, that she used to, actually, I would insist, she would tell me stories.
Que je la fatiguais au fait pour qu'elle me raconte tout simplement des histoires, etc. Et voilà, c'est vrai que...
It is true that there was this passing on of stories and songs from my mother, from aunts, from those around us. We also played the last one that I've put online, the Tour Ngale, a hand game. So that one too we played pretty often. It is an elimination game, but the child must concentrate and listen well to the instructions so as not to be eliminated. But they are really wonderful souvenirs.
Pour ne pas se faire éliminer. Mais c'est des moments tout simplement merveilleux.
This need to pass on your culture to your children who are born in France, do you feel this is very common amongst the African diaspora?
Ah oui, totalement. Totalement.
Yes, totally. I think that the majority of, if not all, the parents of the Senegalese diaspora have this need to pass on their culture.
Transmettre leur culture. Et donc voilà, je dis pas que grâce à...
I'm not saying that thanks to Atama it will be done with a snap of the fingers, but it remains a link with the home country, because we know very well that we have really busy days and that we do not have a lot of time to sit down and discuss these things with our children. Therefore, having content readily available to help the child to say that, me too, there are interesting children's songs where my parents offer them, so that they can very easily experience to learn the fundamentals.
Tout simplement connaître pour apprendre des notions de base.
Do you think Wolof songs help with this cultural transmission?
Oui, je pense que quand même ça reste un support.
Yes, indeed, I think that they remain a good aid, because we see a lot of children's song channels in all languages, as I said at the beginning, in French, in English, with more or less the same themes. Let's take, for example, Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes in English.
Qui reviennent. Donc, on prend par exemple comme
about the body parts. There are also a Wolof version, tank locks or knop, tank being foot locks or hand knop ear.
Donc, et voilà, donc je me dis que ça reste.
Therefore, I think that they remain helpful in bringing culture to the fore, so that the child has a cultural reference, and this is important.
Et aussi, on va dire, sa référence culturelle. C'est important.
Are there any particular topics you want to cover in the future?
Alors le choix est vraiment très large, hein, donc
the range is vast. It can range from simple hygiene to healthcare.
Santé, donc voilà, c'est vraiment trouver une façon.
It is about finding a way of conveying or speaking, of broaching a subject with a child. So there are really many topics to choose from.
Le choix est vraiment très 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 vaste.
And also, it's not like each song addresses a particular theme every time. Sometimes it's just for fun or just for play, as entertainment.
Pour jouer, pour l'amusement.
And right now, what are you working on, for example?
Alors, en ce moment, j'essaie de trouver une comptine qui pourrait...
At the moment, I'm trying to find a song that could really address the theme of hygiene, of healthcare.
Parce que voilà, on est dans une période, on va dire, assez...
We are in quite a critical period, and addressing healthcare and presenting it to children would be important, I think.
Présenter ça aux enfants. Donc, côté hygiène par rapport à l'hygiène au quotidien. Et côté santé,
so hygiene in relation to daily hygiene and healthcare, trying to find a song where I could introduce some concepts about sanitary precautions.
De précautions sanitaires, tout simplement.
After the first phase of Atama, there was a more ambitious project of storytelling in a longer format and subtitled in French and English. Are you still considering that?
Oui, tout à fait. C'est un projet.
Well, yes, absolutely. That is a project that I am developing. I don't think I can do it right now because it is really very expensive, but in the long term, yes. If I can find the sponsors and partners that I need to support me, yes, why not?
Qu'il faut pour m'accompagner.
Do you have any other projects in other African languages, such as Swahili, for example?
Alors, je reste ouverte à, on va dire, à toutes les langues.
I remain open to all languages. We have already started to make versions in Fula. At the moment, we have proposed 3 in Fula. We take the Wolof songs and we translate them. And I think that there is also a desire for this.
Voilà, il y a de l'attente aussi de ce côté. Après, pour les autres langues...
As for the other languages, why not? From East Africa or elsewhere, I remain open to all languages, but we need to find the right translator or the right singer, not necessarily the right singer, but for the translation we really have to figure out how to deal with that. But it's within reach.
Vraiment qu'on trouve comment gérer ça.
Do you have the impression that your songs can be a kind of cultural link between children of different ethnicities?
Parfaitement, je pense vraiment.
Definitely, I really think so, because for example, if I take the example of Wolof songs translated into Fula, the child who speaks Fula can learn a few words in Wolof, and vice versa, even for myself during the making of those songs.
Qui parle Peul, de découvrir quelques mots en Wolof et vice versa. Moi-même pendant la
I learned words in Fula because I'm not Fula, and now I know that lion is called Barodi and horse is called Puchu. And so I'm learning small words like that, which as an adult I would not have known otherwise, and I think that this allows diversity. And for the children too, it is always good to learn another language.
Une langue en plus, c'est toujours bon à apprendre.
Safietou Gueye, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it. Initiative Africa is over for today. You can, of course, find Safietou Gueye's interview and the replay of our programs on our website, africaonair.com. And, of course, you can also find us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment with the hashtag Initiative Africa TV show. And don't forget, next week, same time, same channel. I will see you again with a new edition of Business Africa. Have a great week, everyone, and goodbye.